What do you think are some what makes like Culver City unique from other cities, like let's say from the west side, or compared to other parts of LA?
Well, Culver City. Well, I think what makes Culver City really unique is that it's called the heart of Screenland.
Okay.
That's the thing. And I have seen so many movie stars.
Oh, really?
I was in the Surprise store. Where that
Yeah,
was?
I remember. Yeah.
The Surprise store where you buy jeans and all that.
Yeah.
Levi's. Well, I was buying some jeans one day and Lee Marvin is walking by, and I'm looking at Lee Marvin. I go, wow, that's Lee Marvin, and he was so nice, and he was real friendly. I saw Jack Nicholson. I saw so many movie stars growing up. It was crazy. And then when I was at Venice High School, I was editor of my high school newspaper, also the Oarsman, and we had to interview. We had to go and interview, go look at plays and so I went to see this one play with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau at the Mark Taper Forum, and my friend was in the play. She was Laurie Prang. Her name was she was an actress. She was on the Love Boat and different things. But she never quite made it like real big type thing. But so she invited me to go backstage. So I go backstage and I see Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau playing around with them. One of them threw, I think it was Jack Lemmon, threw a slice of cheese on Walter Matthau's face, and it landed on his face and it stayed there. Yeah. And it was so weird. It seemed so.
And how old were you
surreal.
at that time?
I was 17.
Okay.
And then Jack Lemmon turns around and he just grabs my hands and he said, "Oh, you look like a little angel from heaven." He was, he was real nice to me. I was really skinny and tiny thing.
Oh, wow.
And but it was a normal thing, to see movie stars. And I interviewed the Kung Fu guy. What's his name?
Chuck Norris?
No.
Bruce Smith?
No, before that. He had the Kung Fu was the series he was on.
Oh, I don't know.
David Carradine.
Oh, okay.
David Carradine. He played the Kung Fu character. So I took a picture of him and I and this other student and interviewed him. Do you really know Kung Fu? And he said, no, I just go through the motions and all that. But that was fun doing all that stuff. I had a lot of fun. I was real involved in school. I was a member of the art school art club, and there was Margaret Chan. She was an artist too. There was a lot of she grew up in the project. She passed away. I found out. I didn't know she passed away until I saw this list of our 50th year high school reunions coming up. So I saw her name on the obituary thing.
You mentioned you went to school with Tina Marie also.
Yeah, I was in choir with her for 2 years.
Really?
I did not know how to sing for shit, but that girl could sing so good, and she was a really nice person. She was a really what's the word, down to earth person. Because even 10 years later, she invited me to her house in Encino. After 10 years after high school, so I go to the house with my friend, and it was a lot of people. It was packed at a party, and she was, I think, represented by Motown Records. She was like the first white girl with Motown, and so I'm talking to this black guy. I don't know who he was, and so Tina comes up behind me and she said, "Oh, I see you met Barry Gordy."
Wow.
I go, "What?" I was talking to Barry Gordy because I got along with him so well.
Yeah.
And we were laughing and all that, and I go, I feel so stupid that I didn't know who he was.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
His name's on all the records.
Especially
I know.
when you get surprised, yeah.
But I didn't know. I never saw him before,
Yeah.
and he was just so nice, really nice man. And I felt so proud of her. I mean, so our 50-year high school reunion is coming up in August 17th, and we're going to be dancing to the music because she was such a nice person. Anyway.
Yeah. No.
Is there anything you mentioned you can picture parts of like El Paso? Is there anything that you can picture from Culver City from when you were growing up that's not here anymore?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question. Yeah, the roller rink, Culver City roller rink.
Oh, I think it's a Harbor Freight now, huh? Is that the one on?
No, that's ice skating. No, I'm talking about the roller rink.
Okay.
It was where that park is now. It's a park. It's right across. Right across the street is. They have a lot of fundraisers there. The veterans or something.
Veterans Park? Yeah.
Yeah, on Washington Boulevard.
Okay.
And so, right now they have fundraisers and all that
Yeah.
there. And so that whole park was where the roller rink was. We went roller skating all the time. This is way before the ice rink, way before.
Oh, was it oh no, I was thinking about something else, because
I
a
felt
friend of mine.
old seeing that.
No, because I was thinking right now, because my friend Richard Cortez, he's from Venice. I think he's a little younger than you, maybe. But he was mentioning something about Fox Hills Mall used to be roller carts or
Oh, the
something.
go-karts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be we went there too.
Yeah,
Go-karts, well, but the roller rink was so much fun.
Yeah.
Because they had like all those crazy lights, and all we did is go around and
Yeah.
around, but it was so much fun with all your friends and everything.
When was that real popular? Like in the 70s or like?
Yeah, 70s.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And then Mar Vista Bowl, it was called, now it's called Bolero or something.
Yeah.
But I grew up in that place. I hated that place. Because my mother was a professional bowler.
Oh,
So she was on her bowling leagues, and then she made all of us join junior league, bowling league. I saw my.
That's interesting. You mentioned before, because because I mean, like when I think of Chicanos, I think of like there's like a certain range of things that we do or can do, whatever. Like I never really hear of Chicano bowlers. You know what I mean, or professional bowlers.
Yeah.
You
And my
know,
mother
so
was a
I used to
pro
bowl for a
bowler.
while when I was younger, but I was definitely not professional.
And my mom's on her team was her bowling name was Yo-Yo, and she had oh my God, I have all her like pins. She had a million pins, and she died. I kept some of them. Some of them I had to get rid of because there was too many. But she had a lot of bowling stuff. Oh my God, I did little shadow boxes. Where I put a bunch of her stuff, her bowling pins on there. And then I even have a Mar Vista Bowl. It says Mar Vista Bowl pin, and that's old. That's from the 50s.
Yeah.
And it's all rusted, so I cleaned it and put it in the shadow box because that's to me just memories of my mother. And it's really, she was a good bowler. She would do that. I remember her saying, follow through all the way.
Yeah.
She was good. And I guess my brother who was my younger brother, the older brother looked like me. The younger brother, he looked like a Chicano Burt Reynolds. He was a real handsome guy, and now he's in prison. And so he went. I knew he was going to do that because he started off painting cars for a living. He was really good, really talented. He was doing Clint Eastwood's motorcycle and all these. Really, he was a great painter, car painter, and he had his own business, Bert's Auto thing, and then but he started abusing it, like changing the mileage and driving people's cars, and then he got into drugs.
Is there any because I'm part of communities like the businesses that we used to go to. I'm most thinking about gentrification, all the things that are slowly going away from our. Is there any places you used to like to go to that, or like you said, your Bert's, the painting, anything that you remember that's gone from that was kind of important to you back in those days?
Well, I liked going to the teen center where I painted the mural, my first mural, and I don't know what happened to it. I think they got rid of it at some point. But there weren't a lot of places for young people to hang out. I went Shakey's was a real famous thing, but we never went to Shakey's. All my friends did, but we didn't go because we couldn't afford to go.
Yeah.
And I started working. I worked as a box girl for Alpha Beta. I was one of the first box girls they had, and it was just a lot of work. It was lifting all those big dog food bags, and it was. But that was when I was still in high school doing that. And then I worked for a T-shirt company on Jefferson, and that's the first time I heard the word migra. The migras come, they're coming, and because it would do like these raids and then take some of the workers away. I had no idea what was going on. I was too young I was like 15 or something, and but all of us were trying to help my mom because my dad passed away and my mother married this guy who was an alcoholic, so they had like to in for finances and all.
Aside from Chavez's work, did you have to do like other like were you involved in other Chicano initiatives on the West Side or work in general?
Well, not really. I think Native American movement. I think American Indian Movement was doing some important work, I thought.
Yeah.
And so there was 2 cases where they were fighting. They had Leonard, I think his name was Leonard Langlass, who was a lawyer for these 2 Native American guys who were accused of killing an FBI agent on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. So my sister and I were involved in the fundraising for that. And my mom was really upset about that. She did not approve whatsoever.
Why?
So
For what reason?
it was very political, and those 2 guys, one of the guys' names was Richard Mohawk and Paul Skyhorse. They were the Skyhorse Mohawk case. So I got real involved in it. I thought they were innocent. All of us were going to these meetings, but what I didn't realize later on is everybody fighting for them to be released. And as soon as they got released, they got in trouble again. And I was just so sad to see that, It's a cycle of, it's really common though. But because they were so highlighted in the community, we were all disappointed,
Yeah.
And so it was, it's like, I don't know, it's, I thought it was really sad. And a bunch of us went to Nicaragua to do a mural over there. I don't know if you know about I don't know if Miguel knows about it either, but there was like 35 of us that went, writers, poets, artists, and anyway, we go to Nicaragua thinking we have a lot in common with them. We don't have a thing in common with them, nothing.
We as what, as a Chicanos or as
as Chicanos, they're living with the war going on.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They're devastated by war.
Yeah.
Like we went into a restaurant to eat, right? This is in 1986, and we go to a restaurant and we're sitting down to eat, and there's maggots in the rice. I mean, how many people? That's a little difficult to digest. I mean, just looking at it, like, oh shit, you can't. I mean, that kind of poverty, it hits you like really hard. And then all the homes that we visited, there was no floors, it was dirt floors. And I came back and I told all my friends, you don't know how fortunate you are. We take everything for granted, and these people are suffering over there. I mean, I thought we grew up poor, right? But comparatively speaking, we were not. Irena Cervantes, another artist friend of mine, she lives near Silver Lake right now. She's being honored this year by the Center for the Study of Political Graphics. Really good artist. We did a mural together. Her, Kathy Gallegos, and myself, and a couple other people. And so her and I were actually feeding some of these kids because they were so poor. I mean, they weren't wearing shoes. It was the kind of like that poverty that just really hit really strong. And we were staying at not a hotel, at a former army barracks. And so in the barracks was it was really bad. I had a mosquito net on mine because I'm paranoid, but malaria is a big, we had to take a shot, anti-malaria shot, because once you get that, you have it for life. And so I made a mistake of ironing on the bed, and I made a hole, about this big, little hole. And so I tried to cover it up with 2 sanitary napkins, and then the maid, person who came in and clean, she left me a note, and she said, "How dare you use what we consider a luxury item in the country to cover up this hole?" I mean, who would know? Who would think that?
Yeah.
And then I felt so bad when I did that, and I go, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea." And so I told that story to Dolores, and Dolores made me tell that story to the women from the National Organization for Women, because Eleanor Schnell, is real concerned about those basic necessities that are deprived to young women. Like even in the camps right now, the young people who are being incarcerated, they take it away from their family, their parents, and all that. The women, the young women, are not given sanitary napkins. They're not given toothbrushes and toothpaste. I mean, basic necessities. And so that's happening right here it's so disgusting when you think about it,
Yeah.
And so 2 years ago, I did a painting. I'm going to send you slides of it. I
Yeah.
did a painting of a young girl she's about 15 years old, that's in one of the camps, and the chain linked fence is across her, in front of her. But at first I made it all extending to the end of the campus. Then I thought, no, I'm going to make it just on her person, because it will always be on her. You know what I mean? Even if she got rid, and so that painting, oh my God, I think it was a really good painting. And instead of, and usually an altar has like bread and, for the dead, but I had a toothbrush, toothpaste, a sanitary napkin, and this collector who likes my work a lot, a Chicano collector, he goes, Betty Avila told me that he walks in the gallery and he said, no one's touching that, that's mine. and it was, I priced it pretty high, and he bought it. And he likes my work a lot. I talked
And how recent is that piece?
Huh?
How
that
recent?
was a couple years ago.
Okay.
So, but I and it's weird, you can get attached to something. Like I liked it so much that I did it because she looks like she's so miserable, that girl.
Mm.
And that's something. Rafa gave me the photograph.
Okay.
See, because I call up Rafa and go, I know you photograph young people. I just want you to give me a one picture, and I'm going to change her hair. I'll change everything, but I just want the expression, her expression on it, and you could tell she was suffering. That suffering look, you can't fake that at all. Unless you experience it yourself. But that girl had it on her face, and so I felt really good about that painting. But that's the kind of work that moves me. I want to do stuff like that. I want to continue to do stuff like that. But a lot of people tell me, well, why don't you just do
how would you label that work? Like
a humanistic kind of painting?
Yeah.
It's a humanistic. Because if you say it's political or it's cultural, people get turned off like right away.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. This guy Richard Eduardo, who was a real famous silkscreen artist. Do you know who he is?
No.
Well, he's from what is the Highland Park, or one of those Silver Lake or Highland Park. He's a great printer, and this guy, he always he had a lot of problems with his personality. But anyway, he real prolific of silkscreen guy. He could do anything. He could silkscreen anything and make it look beautiful. And one day he told me, goes, because he donated some of his prints to the LA County Museum of Art. So in their collection, some of my prints are there that he did. And he told me, goes, Barbara, why do you keep doing political work? Do you know that political work is a death sentence for artists? That's what he told me.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, hallelujah for you. If you want to do that, that's okay with you. Me, I don't care what you do. But I go, but I'm going to do what I'm doing. I'm not going to change my mind or anything. I think if you look at your audience and who buys your work and you respect those people, well, then you're doing something right. But if you do it purely for monetary gain or fame, or you do it for those kind of reasons that are superficial, then how does you live with yourself? It's not satisfying.
Yeah.
It's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and there was a Native American guy. Some people that really moved me are, I went to Washington D.C. and I went to the Native American Museum there. You should go there one day.
Yeah, but
great. Well, this one guy did something on Red Cloud. Red Cloud was killed on they shot him and he landed on the snow. But this artist, it kills me. I can't remember his name, but he, instead of a white background where it's snow where he landed, it's pure red, like blood red, and it was so powerful. I walked in the museum and it was huge. It was a huge painting like that.
Was it like a seasonal installment, or is it like a permanent piece?
It was a seasonal. I wish, because Dolores' daughter Lori went with me, and she doesn't remember the artist's name either. We were just like blown away by how strong his work was.
Yeah.
And I go, see, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Something that just that hits you like it's, your core. Wow, this is what art's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that guy was.
It sounds like everything we've been talking about so far. It seems like you had a strong connection for a lot of the Native American struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mexicans, we all have
Yeah.
blood in us.
Yeah.
You know, but it's.
But a lot of people don't make that connection all the time, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah.
So Dolores, I mean, it's funny because Dolores and I are coming out in a book this year, and in the book, it's 100 political and cultural activists, and so my husband's in it, Dolores is in it, Phineas Barnes, all these people, and then in there they have a DNA test, an extensive DNA test. I have a lot of European blood too, you know, and so does Dolores. And so I said to Dolores, I go, oh, they're gonna attack my husband and I when this book comes out. You're not real Chicanos. You know, but
But that
Dolores
gets people,
has a lot.
But
So
people, sorry, guys.
She has French blood in her.
Yeah. People equate DNA with culture and identity, which ain't the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I tell people a lot of times about the cultural continuity,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I like that, the cultural continuity.
Yeah, because
The phrase is good.
that's what makes the Chicano culture or the indigenous culture. It's passed these traditions of the Dr. Seatley, he said the culture of maiz. You know what I mean?
Dr. Seatley?
Yeah.
That's my
Rest in
boyfriend.
peace. Yeah.
I went out with him for 3 years almost.
Yeah, good guy. Yeah, I did a lot of work with him too on the west side. And but yeah, too, so like people confuse, the genetics with the identity because because there's some people who do DNA and they find out they're like 10% Native American, but they're not really Native American. Not so much the way they look, but through their connections, through their language, through their mannerisms, things like that.
You know him, Robert?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know him.
Yeah, Robert Singley, yeah. Yeah, real good guy. Yeah.
He was a good guy. He was my first real boyfriend.
Oh really?
I mean, when I was at West LA College when I started going out with him, and then so that's why I was on the campus early. UCLA campus, he was going there.
Yeah.
And
Is that before or after he got beat up? Remember he got beat up?
way before he got beat
yeah.
up. Way before. And then when he got beat up, I was in New York when he was being attacked, and when I came back to LA, I actually had a weird feeling. I knew something bad was going on. And so anyway, when he took the sheriffs to court, I testified at his trial.
Oh wow.
And I was so scared because the 4 sheriffs who beat him up, they were looking at me very
those
threatening.
sheriffs? Yeah, those are,
the 4 big, gigantic guys. And then I'm on the stand and they asked me a question and I said, could you repeat the question? I got so intimidated because I made the mistake of looking at them. I shouldn't have done that. But their attorney, the attorney for the sheriffs, was so horrible. He was a horrible human being. And I think he single-handedly kind of screwed up the chances for the sheriffs to win because he was going like that to the jury. You have to find Mr. Rodriguez as a liar. He's a all this stuff, and I'm going, oh shit, what
His aggressiveness worked against them, huh?
Yeah, and then he said, the police report said that Robert was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, his camera against a police officer.
Yeah.
That's horseshit.
Yeah.
So when his book came out, he did a book called Yolki.
Yeah. I haven't read it yet, but yeah.
I did the painting for the book, the
Oh.
cover. And so he asked me, because Barbara was doing and then I did the painting. The painting was about this big, and my husband saw the painting and he goes, "That's the best painting you ever did." And I think because I really have a lot of respect for Robert. This is weird. When he passed away, they couldn't find the painting. They still can't find the painting. And so I talked to his brother Danny yesterday, and he goes, "Barbara, we can't find it anywhere." And I go, "Someone made off with that painting."
Yeah.
Because Robert asked me if he could have it. This is like way after the book came out. He goes, "Barbara, is there any way I could buy the painting from you?" I go, "I'm giving you that painting." I'm gonna anyway, so I gave it to him, and he was real happy. But it was really sad. That painting was all the blood on his jacket.
Yeah, I remember a little bit.
It was horrible what he went through. And my mom didn't like him. My mother did not like him. My sister didn't like him. Nobody liked him until after we broke up. Then everybody liked him. It was the weirdest
What was
thing.
it? How could we
I
think
think
of?
because he was dark complected. I swear to God. I
Gosh.
really think it's that stupid.
They ingrained self-hatred.
Yeah, because I asked my aunt in El Paso, I said, "What don't you like about him?" My Aunt Lola, I go, "I don't understand." She was dark. So I said, "Well, give me one thing you didn't like about him." And she couldn't come up with anything. And then I asked my mother too, nothing. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I could understand if it was one thing, like he was controlling or whatever, but nothing. It was just pretty sad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a real good dude. He's always been real supportive of the work I do over here.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you knew him. That's a good.
Yeah, yeah, it's a small
That's
world.
so
And
weird.
Rafa too. Yeah, it's a small world. It's a small Chicano world, you know. So
And Dolores really liked him. She was real sad when she
Yeah.
found out that.
one thing what I'm admiring about you also is that, like, you know, just for the little I know about you and then talking to you now as well is like, you know, I see like that a lot of times Chicanos, like when they go to college or they get in a mix of success, they kind of get washed. You know what I mean? But your Chicanidad, it seems like, you know, as strong and, you know, fiery as ever. You know what I mean? And that's rare to
Getting
see.
old, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean maybe like in your physical age, but like in your spirit, like, you know
Yeah.
that the fire is still very strong and it's very admirable. You know, because again, seeing a lot of, you know, Chicanos that doesn't, you know, they get washed, you know, away when to go to college or success or whatever. So
You know, I see that too. You know, I see like my fellow güeras out there who are lawyers or professional
Yeah.
people. Why don't you just play the white girl? Why don't you just, you know, they would say that to me. Go with the white guy, they have money. They have and all this stuff, and I go, oh my God, well, then you feel like a prostitute. You know, that's the way I look at it. Like,
yeah,
well, how could you do that? Because I know one woman who married a doctor. She didn't love that guy at all. She just married him for his money. And I go, well, how do you feel at night sleeping next to somebody that you don't love? I don't know. I don't get that at all.
yeah,
I don't really. You know, and Harry, because my husband's so funny because he goes, well, when I say I love him, you know, every once in a while I say we love each other. He goes, what is it you love about me? I'm poor. I've always been poor.
Yeah.
And I go, but I respect him a lot. You know, it's,
Yeah.
that word respect is really something a lot of people don't really get. You know, that you have to, you know, when you live with respect and integrity, that's everything. You know, because you know, I knew Harry when he didn't have $1 to his name.
yeah,
And I remember he was such a good dad to his son Diego. He would I really got on Diego's case one time because he said something about his dad not having money, and I said, you know, that I was with him in downtown LA when he couldn't even buy a cup of coffee, but he bought you a good meal
yeah.
for your lunch. You know, so you better learn to. And now he really appreciates his father.
Yeah, I bet.
He goes, oh, because he tells his sister, our daughter, he says you don't appreciate him now, but you will one day. So that was good to hear that, you know.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy. And Robert didn't like Harry very much. He didn't like him, but for, you know, obviously.
Like, what do you feel like have been some of the prominent, as you've been growing up or, you know, throughout your years, what's been like the prominent like Chicano issues that you feel like were more prominent, and like which ones have we overcome and what things do we still have to work on?
Well, that's it's weird because I recently went to Venice High School and I was talking last week. I talked to the Mecha students last week. A former Venice High School student asked me to do that. She's real involved in the school, so I went there and I know it was really kind of cool to see these students with all these political posters on the walls, you know.
Yeah.
And there was Angela Davis and Dolores and everything. And so I'm talking to them, and I said, they asked me, well, were you involved in Mecha when you were in high school? I said, no, my mother wouldn't let me join. You know, because, you know, I was young and she wanted me to focus on my studies. And so as soon as I got out of the house and I was at UCLA, I got involved with the Mecha at UCLA. But I think we still have a problem with just, you know, the male supporting the female who's running for whatever office or whatever. I mean, I've met, throughout all these years, I met like a lot of people like Gloria Molina, people who ran for office and were really not supported by their fellow Chicano politicians.
Yeah.
And
Talk
that's
about the male.
Yeah. But that's just that area, political stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's the art world where a lot of curators back then was mostly male curators, so a lot of us were left out of shows. And then, so I'm so happy that there's more and more female curators now. So they're more inclusive, and like for instance, at the Library of Congress, they have this original sketch of my mural. There, 4 female curators are working on making that accessible to the public. And so when they come in, they can look at the mural, they can highlight different parts of the mural, and it'll bring up the information about that specific section and historical scene. And I'm just so, I'm hopeful that we're getting there, but we're still not there yet. And it used to be where I would be the only female in the show. It was really bad back then.
Yeah.
When I first started out, I was in a show at MIT many years ago called L.A. Hot and Cold.
Oh.
And my husband was part of that show, but it was called the Pioneer section. So, because he's older, he's 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
So he was in that one. But it was really weird because the curators there, they're like angle curators and all that, and they, it seemed like they were just pushing the male artists, and there was like maybe 3 people of color in the whole show, 20-some artists, and but then the Boston Globe came and did a story, and they said LA Hot, it was a review, and it says LA Hot and Cold. The only thing they'd call hot is Barbara Carrasco's mural. That was really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I was so happy to see that.